Mothra, I will make you pay for that. How's it, Godzilla fans, kaiju fans, collectors, and just general people of YouTube? This is Chanzilla1964 coming back to you with yet another figure review. This time we'll be reviewing the Bandai Movie Monster Series 2022 Battra Imago form figure. So just kicking off the review with detail here for Battra. So the detail work on Battra is just phenomenal. I mean, from the detail on his face, the camera will just pick it up. He's got some really nice dragon scales over here, or dragon bumps, I guess you could also call them. And then you also have these nice ridge patterns over here for the forehead, and his crown or his horns are detailed very nicely too. The detail work for Battra's eyes is done really nicely as well. It's missing that titular Mothra bug eye pattern, but I don't think he had it anyways in the movie, so you know, it's just an interesting detail for Battra that brings more out for the character. Then Battra's mouth is very nicely done. You got similar sculpting work over here, which looks a bit like the similar pattern over here, but just for this area, yeah, his mouth is very nicely detailed. There's not so much detail on this side of the mouth, which was found on the what is that called, SH Monster Arts figure, but that's totally fine. It's just a small little nitpick. And then the underside of Battra's head is detailed very nicely. All of this stuff, these bumps, the bug bumps. But since we're on the other side of Battra here, his legs are done really well. I'm glad they didn't mold it into the body like they have done with past Mothra figures. Even though that would have been totally fine. It's kind of new, interesting, and cool how Bandai has been doing this, because this is even done with the Mega Gears figure, where while the legs are sculpted together like this, see, they're not separate pieces, they're just one piece. They're still sculpted separate from the body, so it gives a little more detail wise for the figure. But that aside, the spikes are for the legs, and the detail work for the feet and all are done very nicely. And thankfully for this Battra figure, his legs won't fall off, unlike the SH Monster Arts Battra adult form figure, because I do have that figure, but it's missing some of the pieces for the legs. Long story short, moving on to the thorax area over here. His thorax is detailed very nicely. There's some of the spiky stuff over here on the underside of him, as well as the spikes on his on the sides of his thorax, and then the pincers on the end of his thorax is done very nicely too, with some detail work on the inside of them. Yeah. And then I'm not sure if this is similar fuzz that you're finding on the wings, because the wings, and we'll get to them in, as some fuzz over here, but that's just a cool little detail that I've noticed right now, actually detailing the figure. I mean, reviewing the detail of the figure. Yeah. Because for me, whenever I do a custom, I cannot detail for the life of me, so, yeah. But since we're already on the top side of the figure, there's the rest of the crown on his back, which is done very nicely. Got all the horns and stuff over there, which is really, really good, really cool. Then his back is detailed really nice as well. The spikes going down over here, and the scales. I guess, yeah, there will be Battra scales going down over here on the thorax, and then they stop at this point. A little bit of detail over there, which is very interesting. Top of the pincers, and then since we're on the top over here, the wings are detailed very nicely, because you're going to find the same detail on this side, on the bottom side. But to start off with the wings, you got this fur detail going on, which is very interesting. Don't quite remember this on Battra all that well. I thought those wings were just one solid, like, leathery bat thingy going on over here. But yeah, that's really cool. And then you got the spikes on the wings over here, done very nicely, done very well. That's about it for the wings. I remember there being kind of like this, what you call it, segmented thing on the wings over here going on, but I might be wrong. So yeah, but either way, the outer membrane of the outer layer, or this part of the wings is detailed very nicely. I'm not sure what this is called, but getting the wings themselves, they are detailed very nicely, especially with the individual little membrane patterns over here for the webbing for the wings, and then they sculpted in the lightning detail for Battra, just like similar how they done with the Mothra figures. They sculpted in the details for the colorful patterns on Battra. So I mean, yeah, the detail work on this guy is great, amazing, A plus. And sadly, moving on to paint, that's not, I mean, it's great, the paint is amazing, but I can't see the same for paint, A plus wise, even though it's a general pattern for these moth figures, sadly. Because for the paint, starting with the top side, which has the most paint on the figure, you got this red line going down here for Battra's body, which turned out really, really nice. And then you have Battra's patterns over here for the lightning patterns, which also turn out very nice with the yellows and the reds, which pretty much that's all Battra has. But they're painted all the way from here to here to here, and here, but they miss a few spots on the top, which kind of bums me out a little bit, especially for this. They couldn't finish this off. I could have done with leaving these two alone, but that's just a small nitpick for such a great figure. And then there's also paint missing for the spikes over here for the wings, because this is painted, I believe, the same yellow as the horns over here, which moving on to the horns, oh wait, before I get there, the back is also supposed to be painted in the similar yellow, but that's a small tidbit. Moving on to the horns and the face, though, the face is actually the nicest, to me, the nicest painted part of the figure. Yeah, nicest is a word. The eyes are very nicely painted. No issues with the eyes over there. The horns are very nicely painted. I love the paint that they use for the horns. It's kind of this really nice bronze color, very fitting of the crown of the king of the moth monsters. Yeah, I'm not sure, I mean, this isn't movie accurate, but I still love the color that they used from. One color that I'm kind of disagreeing with is the mouth over here. They used this really nice pearly white color for Battra's mouth and his pincers or mouth spikes, whatever you call these things, which I know is definitely not movie accurate and definitely doesn't fit his character. So I really think they should have kind of aged it a little bit, or made it look a little dirtier, but that's totally fine. I know that there's paint missing for this part over here, but that's no biggie for me, because they even painted the middle spike over here, even though it may have just been in passing with my figure. But yeah. Now, before I get to the underside of the figure, just warn you, it's a bit atrocious, but let's see what we got to work with, because it's not bad in any way. But what I would say, it is lazy, I guess. Even though paint has hardly been Bandai's strong point, this figure is especially disappointing for Bandai, because, I mean, it's Battra. It's our first adult Battra vinyl figure from Bandai, especially 6-inch size. So if they're going to do it, I think they should have done it with a bang. Hopefully they do with the Showa Mothra, not Showa, geez, mixing up all the timelines. So yeah, as I was saying, hopefully they do this with the Heisei Mothra. If they make when they make a Heisei Mothra 6-inch vinyl figure, they will probably go this route where they kind of do minimal paint, but I hope they really don't go this route with that figure. Because what they could have done, and what I really would have just kind of really went with is if they just put all the reds, filled in all the reds for Battra on this side of the wings, and I wouldn't have minded, honestly, but it's just it's just this. So it's a little, yeah, disappointing, lackluster. Makes me a little sad, but it's still cool to have a Battra figure nonetheless. So all you customizers out there, have fun painting these wings, because even though I do customize my figures, I do not plan on painting the wings. Yeah. Some other missing paint on Battra over here would be the spikes on his feet and his grabbers over here. They should be painted this similar white color if we're going movie accurate wise, and then his little thorax over here paint wise, this should be this bright red color that's found on the wings, because I believe these are like crystals over here for the tail too, and then these should be the similar bone white color, because this is still like the horns, or the same things that Battra has over here, similar if not, but yeah. That's pretty much it for the paint for Battra. And then moving on to articulation, there's glue seams here but no articulation. There's a glue seam here but no articulation. I don't know why Bandai could have just left the head alone, but they decided to glue seal it. So it's like, what the hell? There's no articulation on this guy. Kind of a bummer. But yeah, I guess beggars can't be choosers, right? This is our first Bandai figure of Battra, Bandai Movie Monster Series final figure Battra. So I mean, it's still good to have, but just sadly there's just a lot of stuff missing. But they got some stuff right, which is really cool. But I mean, just overall for this figure, it's just for paint wise, Bandai really could have stepped it up with the paint over here. Even if they made it a even if they made this one the Bandai Godzilla store exclusive for Godzilla Day coming up. I like if they made Varan the switch places with him, or if they made this guy come out at the time Varan was coming out and they sold him as a exclusive for the Bandai Godzilla store, I think, and they just went the extra step with the paint. I think this would have been possibly the best Battra, one of the best Battra figures we have out there, even though there's not very many Battra figures we have out there. Articulation wise, really wish they articulated the head, but besides that, they can't do much. Now moving on to size comparison though, because it's enough per se bitching and moaning about stuff that we can't necessarily control. I have the Bandai 6-inch, let's just switch around the box over here so we can fit in 6-inch Godzilla, 1991 Godzilla. And I also have the Bandai, not Movie Monster Series, but the Bandai Final Battra. So scaling wise, I'd say when it comes down to Battra and Godzilla, I'd say they scale really well. Because from the movie when Battra is kind of holding Godzilla over here, it looks really good. And if you get Mothra in on action, I think it works too. Because for that scene where Godzilla bites Battra's neck, I think this fits well, especially sizing wise. And even with the scene where Battra slams the first wheel into Godzilla, I think it works really well as well. So yeah, and then for Battra Larva, how the adult Battra fits in with Battra Larva. Battra Larva is a pretty big old bug thing. He's about this size, if I remember correctly from the movie, if not a little taller, because I know he was about as tall as Godzilla, if anything. Yeah. But I mean, for all intensive purposes and all play purposes, this works really nicely, and I think this Battra actually sizes up really nicely with the Bandai figures that you have in your collection, especially if you have the Bandai Movie Monster Series Godzilla over here. So yeah. So what I recommend that you guys pick up this figure, definitely 100% yes, especially if you're a fan of the Godzilla Heisei series, if you're a fan of the Divine Moths from the Godzilla series, if you're a fan of Battra in general, you should definitely pick up this figure. Especially if you kind of want a cheaper alternative compared to the SH Monster Arts Battra figure, this would definitely be the one to go with. I know that there's the Trendmasters Battra figure out there, and there's the old Bandai Battra figure out there as well. But for this one, I think this one's a little more sturdy than both of them actually. And especially be a good way to just kind of mess around with and see if it falls over. I don't have to worry about it breaking or anything. So, I mean, yeah. And then just for shits and giggles, here is Battra compared to the only other Bandai Heisei Mothra figure that we have out there, the Bandai Heisei Rainbow Mothra, which is the son of the Mothra who fought Godzilla with Battra in the Godzilla versus Mothra Battle for Earth movie. So yeah, shits and giggles. I think this still works out and sizes up really nicely. But yeah, and before I get any questions or anything, because I know I'm going to see this in the comments, possibly in the comments. But yes, this is a custom Battra larva figure from Bandai. I decided to give it a good old repaint because for me the paint never really did it for me. And reason for that is because I had the Bandai, or not the Bandai, but I had the Gashapon Battra larva figure, and I always loved the paint job on that guy, so that's what I was kind of going for, or a mix between that one and the X Plus Battra figures. X Plus Battra larva. But yeah, I think that'll do it for this video today, guys. If you like this video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button down below. If you like what you see on the channel, be sure to subscribe to our channel. If you have any questions, or if you'd like a series review for this guy and this gal, or that's actually the guy. So this is him, and yeah, this is a custom Mothra, Rainbow Mothra figure as well. So if you'd like to see reviews for them, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below. And till next time, guys, this has been Chanzilla 1964 saying peace.